this lesson, we will be looking at the properties of digital graphics. Look at the image on the screen. You see a vector image and a bitmap image. What is the difference between a vector and a bitmap graphic? Write your response in the lesson task sheet. This can be found under Lesson 2, Properties of Digital Graphics, titled Properties of Digital Graphics Task. Complete your response on slide number 2. Pause this video now to do this. Okay, so what are the difference between bitmap and vector graphics? Well, bitmap graphics use less processing power than vectors. Bitmap graphics are made up of little pixels, which are tiny little dots, whereas vector graphics are made up of line equations and calculations. Bitmap graphics cannot have elements grouped together. So, for example, if you drew a circle and drew another circle within it, you cannot group those items together to make it one image. However, this is possible in a vector graphic. Bitmap images are less precise than vectors. When you zoom in, you can see the little pixels and the image can become pixelated, whereas vector graphics are more precise. Bitmap graphics take up more memory than vectors and also take up more storage space than vectors. Okay, I would now like you to record your homework. Your homework is to complete the presentation Photopea Creating Digital Graphics Term 4 homework and also complete a quiz. To find this, you will need to go to your Google Classroom, go under the Homework tab and load up the 2 pieces of homework. So it's this one here, Photopea Creating Digital Graphics, and also Creating a Digital Graphics Quiz. Now for this piece of homework, you will be expected to watch this video here on a piece of software called Photopea. Photopea is a graphics editing software. Okay, and you will need to watch the video and write down what some of the key tools are used for. Now you may choose as you watch this video to actually complete some activities in Photopea, and there is a link here to help you do this. This software is free of charge. The next piece of homework is for you to complete a quiz on digital graphics. So just load up the quiz, answer the questions, and you will get a mark out of 8 instantly. You will now need to record your homework. Pause this video now to do this. Okay, lesson objectives for today are to be able to know the difference between vector and bitmap graphics, to be able to investigate how different purposes and audiences influence the design and layout of digital graphics. Well, let's have a look at audience and purpose. Audience and purpose, so just to clarify, audience is who you are creating the graphic for, and the purpose is the point of the graphic, so what is it used for? Audience and purpose influence a digital graphic. Different age ranges require different types of graphics and colours. So for example, if you were going to create a book cover for a child, a primary school child, you may choose to use primary colours and bright colours. However, those colours may not be suitable for an adult audience. The things that we're going to consider today are how different purposes and audiences use colour, composition, use of white space, and styles. Let's have a look at the use of colour. Colour is used to convey structure. It can be used to appeal to an audience, to establish an identity, or to create a certain type of mood or emotion. Colours can stimulate different moods in the viewer. Red, orange and yellow are generally considered bright, energetic, warming, for example. However, blue, green and purple are considered settled and cooling. Neutral colours can be used to cover a large area, and highlighted colours could be used to attract the viewer's attention to a particular area. Here are some examples of how colours can be used. Next, we look at the use of composition. A typical style of a digital graphic combines images and text to create the final product. Composition refers to the layout of the different elements in a graphic. So the different parts of the graphic. Okay? Now this includes positioning of the main object so that there is a focus point for the viewer. It could be through the use of lines to draw the viewer's attention to the main focus point. It could also be used for balance. So for example, are all the elements of the picture symmetrical, as you see here? Or does one element stand out more than the other? So for example here, now we're going to look at the use of white space. Now white space is an area within the final graphic that is left blank. Now white space doesn't always mean the colour white. It could be a different colour. But it is used to space out the image and make it more appealing to the eye and separate different sections and parts of an image. Here are some good examples of white space. So you can see on the Google website and the website below. Finally, we're going to look at styles. This is related to the genre of the final work. It means the overall style should be consistent with what would be expected. So for example, if we're going to have an historic image, we're going to be possibly using antique fonts. However, if we're going to have an image that might be related to science and fiction, we may choose to use futuristic fonts and images of alien worlds. Now, there is more information about colour, composition, white space and styles in another presentation. Now, if you feel that you need to do so, you can go to those presentations. So that presentation is just here. It's called Colour, Composition, White Space and Style. Now you can look at these at your own leisure. There is more information about each of the topics I've spoken about, along with some videos and some links to some external websites. Now your task is going to be as follows. You are required to complete this worksheet based on the images here. So for each image, I'd like you to have a look and say what is the purpose of the image and who is the target audience. So the purpose means what's the point of the image, and the audience is who we're creating it for. I'd then like you to talk about how colour, composition, white space and style is used to influence each image. Now there are a series of images that you need to complete. Okay, and once you've done that, I'd like you to pick 3 images and I'd like you to evaluate them. So I'd like you to place a screenshot of the image on each of these slides and say what is good and bad about each image in reference to colour, composition, style and white space. Once you've done that, I'd like you to move on to the plenary. Think about what is the difference between vector and bitmap graphics? How do different purposes and audiences influence the design and layout of digital graphics? Once you've finished the plenary, you please make sure you hand in your work.